How you guys doing? Welcome back to the show. Today I'm gonna be going over metric AB, and I'm gonna be covering some things that now in the stage that I'm in my production career, um, things that I'm gonna start doing going forward every time I start a track. Things to look at. Nothing very technical, very easy stuff to understand. So I'm glad you can make it for this because I feel you're going to get a lot out of this. Okay, so this song, just to recap, if you didn't see my previous video, it's more of an about me than anything else. But I was reinstalling the F9 audio sample packs, and upon loading such amazing samples that are triggered through, in this case, Logic's sampler, I started, messing around with some pianos, and then next thing you know, I added a kick, and next thing you know, I added a snare, and before you know it, I was here. And let me tell you, the track is sounding very nice. So, because I had dropped Metric AB during my first show, I think it's very important that I just share with you what I'm using it for at this stage in the track. So, number one, I feel when I start a track, it's very important that I know the quality of the sample. Is it 16-bit? Is it 24-bit? Is it 48-bit? Is it 44.1? Is it 96K? You know, remember, the bigger the bit, the higher the sample rate, the more space is going to occupy on your hard drive. But do not neglect knowing your samples, okay? You got to make sure that you're buying quality samples. I'm sure now it's not a problem, but when I started making music years ago, we used to get our stuff from sample CDs, and all you would really find is like 16-bit 44.1. So, okay, so that's number one. And you've heard a lot of people say this, that it's like about the sounds that you choose, among other things, right? But that's just, I think, one of the very most important thing when you're starting a track. Okay, so once you load a quality sample, it's my opinion. Okay, I'm not telling you guys how to do your stuff. I'm just sharing some stuff that I'm gonna start doing again. Okay, so metric AB. What am I using it for now? Okay, so let's say I got this sample, got my kick, right? So here's my kick, right? It's playing. There you go. You can see my kick, right? In solo. Okay. The kick. Most kicks will come in mono. Some kicks will have some side information. They'll sound a little beefier. The beefier they are, the more you'll kind of notice that they have some side information. And what do I mean really about side information? Okay, so real quick, um, it's important to check the mid and the side of your samples, because I feel that before, when I didn't really pay attention to this stuff, I would just load a sample and then load another one and load another one, load up a VST, then load up another one, another VST, and then add. You start adding all these parts to your track, and before you know it, you have like this buildup of real, of low end on your sides. Maybe not enough. Punch in the middle, and it's all dependent of the samples and the synths that you use. So again, so what is the mid and what is the side? The mid is anything that will play in mono. The middle, right? The middle, if you had just one speaker, that would be your middle. The sides are almost non-existent, if not non-existent. When you have stereo, you have sides. You have, the left and the right speaker, pretty much, the same signal. But now, since there's two speakers, you have a stereo information that you hear, that you perceive with both of your ears, right? So when you load a sample, sometimes these samples, the way they were recorded, they're going to be heavy on the side, meaning they'll have more information on the side and less in the middle. So it's important to know, the sample that you load, what did, where's the frequency, the main frequency at? Is it a mono sample? Is it a stereo sample? Is it a sample that maybe was taken real, wide? So metric AB right now here, it's helping me just determine those things. So I have this on my master bus. I loaded a reference track, but this is for another purpose that I'll go through it later on. I want to stick to the point of what I'm trying to tell you guys. So you load up a plugin like Metric AB, and you add some claps, right? So real quick, you add some claps, you check the stereo information, and as if you can see, I probably added an EQ. I do have an EQ. Okay, look, if I take the EQ out, you can see that a little bump below 90 from like 40 to 90 or 100. You see that little bump right here? Keep in mind, we're talking about side information right now. So when I add the EQ back, you're gonna see that this little bump that was created when I removed the EQ, you're gonna see that it's gonna disappear. Look, there you go, it's gone. So with having an analyzer that can tell you where most of the energy of the sample is, you're winning already, because now like, say you're gonna layer some claps, right? And you get a clap that is predominantly stereo. You don't want to add another clap that's predominantly stereo, because now you're gonna have two claps pretty much just sitting right on top of each other. And then you're going to have to work differently in the EQing to try to EQ them to kind of make space for one another. You can make it work, but that's for a later show. So you would add a clap that's stereo, right? You load it up, right? You load it up, and then you see that, you got some side information. I might have went out. Let me see. Okay, there we go. Right? And if it has a lot of low end on the sides, you might want to sweep it. You might want to do what I did. I added an EQ, and if you can see right here, side only, and then I just sweeped it. I sweeped it until I took off. What I'm doing right now, I don't want to take too much off, so I'm taking from 100 hertz and below on my side information. That's what I'm using Metric AB for. So, then you would load, say you were, like we said, we're going to layer some claps. So you go through your samples, right? As you're going through your samples, you can have this analyzer telling you, okay, the next sample, let's say, might not be as stereo as the other one. It might be more more closer to mono. So now when you check the information using an analyzer, then you know that you could put those together, and now you're creating this wall, right? It's like a wall that starts in from the mono to the stereo. Very nice, very nice and even type of wall. So at the moment, really, that's all I'm really using Metric AB for, is just to analyze the samples I already loaded a bunch of samples, so I'm gonna go through them. And then what I like to do is I like to label like my samples, and I can get very technical on them now, where like, see right here on the kick, you see an M, that's for mid. You see this clap right here, mid and side, that means that there's information in the middle, and then there's some information on the side. Here, the next clap that I actually did put together with the other claps, I got kind of like a bottom and a top for my claps, and then I routed them to another. I routed both of these claps to one channel, so I can control whatever effects I do to both of them. I could do it through this one channel, so that's where I add all my automation for another show. But this is a perfect example here of of what I'm talking about. I have this clap here. There's one. Okay. There's the other one. Let me remove that. So there's both of them together. So this is a perfect example of what I'm using Metric AB for. I'm using it in these just for its nice stereo image analyzer that it has. And I'm basically going to go through every sample and I'm going to label it. I'm going to see where the energy of the sample is. Is it on the sides or is it in the middle? And then I will label it here. I'll put S for sides, I'll put M for mid, or I'll put mid inside if it occupies both. And then another thing I like to do is I like to color code light for instruments that are high end on this side, more of the upper, perception that we get. And I like to color instruments that are more on this side of the EQ, lower sector from the body, in a darker tone. So I'll also color these in a dark and light tone depending on what they are. And if you can believe this, I will actually go through each one, and it's not that difficult because, something like this or something like, let's say, when you got Pro Q, right? Look at that. With Pro Q, you can hover here, and then you can pretty much get the fundamental. Let me just do one, just so we'll just one. Look. Okay, so 6.2 is the fundamental of this clap. Okay, 6.2 kilohertz. So then what I'll do is I'll also add 6.2 on the track header. I'll put 6.2K, and I'll put here 7.2K, and then right here I'll put whatever the kick is taking. If it's let's see what the kick is doing. If the kick is, let's see. Actually I should have added I have one on here. Okay, so here it is. Here's the processing that I've done on the kick so far. So let's see. Just hover under. Okay, so the fundamental frequency of this kick is between 75 and 130. But because I see the bang right here, look at that. This is probably just the click, more the click of the kick. But you can see that it's got some more information here, which I dipped out. So you know what? Obviously I have that shaved off. I do. I have it shaved off. 75. I'm gonna write 75 on here. I'm gonna write that 75 is the fundamental. So I will go here. And go here, and then I just go 75 hertz. Okay, small h, 75 hertz. And then, since these are, let me go like this. I got used to doing my kicks in yellow, but I'm actually gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make these orange. Oh wait, I have the lock here. Okay, so I'll make these orange. More of a darker color because it's a low end instrument, So there you go. I'll add the kick mono. It plays at 75 hertz. Now, why do I do that? I do that because once I have all my tracks, even though they're not gonna always go in the same bus. Like all my percussion might not always be related. Where the 6K and 7K and all that. One of them might occupy like 120 or 200 hertz, and they're not together. But at least with them labeled, they allow me to do better and quicker decisions just by looking at the track, which we'll get into later. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to make sure that you guys understand what I'm using Metric AB for at this moment, and what I just finished telling you guys, which is number one, make sure the sample is of quality. Number two, make sure you know where the sample's energy lies at. Is it more of a mono? Is it more of a stereo instrument, right? Okay, I made some, let me see. So now, if you're using you know, a VST, which most of us do, like, you know, Serum or Diva or whatever the case may be, that's another thing that you're gonna have to really, really look out for, which is when you find a sound, you're right there, you know, going through your sounds and you're looking for something, you got an idea of what you want to play. When you find something and you finally lay it down, you're like, all right, this is sounding good. Again, never compromise the technical aspect for creativity. There's nothing worse when you're being creative and having to be focused on technical stuff. But there's nothing worse than finishing an entire track and then having a boatload of problems that you don't know where to start, you don't know where to look. So my advice, so you could get yourself up and running in the most, you know, cleanest way, the most effortless way, is that you use a stereo image analyzer and make sure that you pay attention. Again, so if you load a synth and you already laid it down and you got certain things playing, you want to check too. Watch, if we go and we look at the piano, here's my piano. Okay, look. So this is the side. Let me take the solo out. This would be a better way. There you go. Okay. So I know I added an EQ to this. Let me take it off. Okay, so check that out. Look at this piano. It sounds beautiful, by the way. But look at this piano right here. Look at how much low-end information on the sides it's got. Look at that. Below 90 hertz. Just look at that. It's also leaning to the left, which is also something that is very good to know. If when you load a sample, if it was recorded panned more to the left than to the right, those are things you gotta pay attention. But definitely the information of a actual synth and where it's playing, based on all the processing that the synthesizer has already included, or you add more. We'll get to that later. But yeah, when you load a synth and you're going through your patches, even if you're going through your patches and you're like, you have the you know, the stereo image analyzer, yeah, you would. It definitely, again, you don't want to compromise creativity for technical stuff. But once you got it and you decide, you know, if it felt good for you while you were doing it, chances are it's going to be good. But you know how it goes. Sometimes when we're in the midst of creativity, it just, I don't know, like we become a little bit like, you know, we're so focused and we're so pumped on the track that, you know, we could lose sight and things can get horrible really quick, especially once you get into the mixing. You know, you can, you know, you're kind of like you're in a honeymoon state when you first start the track, you know, everything's sweet and beautiful, but then once you start mixing it, it's like horrible analogy, but it's like you've been married for 50 years. Horrible analogy. My marriage has been going on strong for 8 years now, so horrible analogy. Back to the topic at hand, though. So remember, good samples, know where the samples are strongest at, middle or side. Some people, I don't know if you guys heard this, but some people actually, they will click the mono button, okay? They will make an entire track in mono, meaning they summed everything to the middle, to one speaker, basically. This is my mono information right here. This is how my mono sounds. Let me put that EQ back. Look, it's gonna make a difference. Watch. Could hardly hear it, but makes a big difference when you hear the stereo. But listen to that. It's sounding pretty good in mono, right? Now let me disengage the mono button. Nice. Let me try it on here so you can hear it, because I'm recording it through the computer, the sound, so it'll sound better. Let's see. But now we can't see the analyzer. I was using the mono button on the Mackie. But that sounds pretty good. This is not mixed. This is just the beginning. Now let me take the mono button out. See how it opens up? Stereo. Now here's the side information. You hear that? Some piano, some claps, and that's pretty much it. Now let me remove that EQ that I added to the sides of the piano. Watch how it's just gonna open up even more. This is just side you're hearing. Look at how much bass it has on the side. The decision to either roll off or to reintroduce them or keep it the way it is, I'm gonna make that decision later. Right now, my goal is to just make sure that I keep track of the instruments I already added. I don't want things to be on top of each other. I don't want too many things that are stereo on top of each other. I don't want too much commotion in the middle, but mainly it happens on the sides, but it can happen in different areas of the mix. So again, these are just some basic stuff that I wanted to share with you guys. Metric AB so far is this is all I'm using it for. I did read the manual. It's got a correlation meter, the spectrum analyzer, dynamics. It tells you loudness. It's got some really cool for playback. This track that I'm working on is in the beginning. It's like nowhere near even. I've done nothing technical to it other than remove some of the side from the piano because the piano had too much bass on the sides. And listen to this. Look at how good this is sounding. Okay? Now check out the reference. Naturally, the reference has a lot more oomph, but again, I've not done my distortions, I've not done my strategic EQing, I've not moved things out of the way, I've not compressed, I've not done anything. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave questions in the comments or hit me up on Instagram. Again, I really appreciate you guys sticking around and hearing me mumble. I'm gonna create this song with you guys. I'm gonna, label everything, get everything nice and pretty. So on the next show, that we get into the track, I'll share with you what I'm gonna do next. Like what's next. Okay, once we have the track is done, we have everything there, and we're ready to mix. What do we do next? Well, that's why I got this guy right here. And if it's my wish, as it was at one point, I wanted to get the expanders for it so I can have 32 faders. But I think with the ability to bank, I get 8 faders, 8 automated faders with the ability to bank left and right. It's a win situation. Plus I got Ableton Push and Machine 2, which we're also going to be getting into. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you feel you've got something out of this. Share it with your friends. Let them know, your producer buddies. It's a pretty interesting process, the production process. I can't even describe it, but there's so many things that we do that they just implicate the next thing or the last thing or the thing on the side or the thing. It's crazy because if you think about it, it's air that's being pushed from the speakers, right? Our ears, by themselves, they don't they don't produce sound. The speakers don't produce sound is what I meant to say. It's all the air being pushed towards our eardrum, and our eardrum talks to our brain, and that creates the sound based on the wave length and you know the sound pressure that's being pushed out of the speakers. High frequency is sharp, short oscillation. You know, low frequency is long, right? So all those things matter. You know, you got to keep in mind that you know when you make moves on your track from the beginning, they're very tiny moves. They're decisions that have to do a lot with, like I said, sample selection. You know, the weight of each sample. Where is it playing? The quality. Like when you load synths, like you gotta know what the effects that it has, the effects that you add. What are you doing? You know, essentially the way I look at it, honestly, guys, I look at it like creating like two separate mixes in one track. The mix that's in the mono in the middle and the mix that's in the sides. It's almost like that, and you'll see as the process goes on. But anyway, don't want to make it too long. Again, thank you so much for watching. Um, I look forward to the next one, which I wanted to do like a studio tour so I can talk to you about these couple gadgets that I have in here and this little cool, colorful thing that I have here. So I'm sure you're going to love it. And yeah, I can't wait. Thank you guys for watching.